Welcome everyone to episode 169 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Penteleresco. I write stuff in podcast too. Today my guest is John Mavin, author of Rage, a short collection recently released. I really enjoyed my conversation with John. John is a very, very caring, compassionate individual. You can really tell this when we talk about his students and teaching creative writing and what it has taught him and where he's going with that. It was really, really, really cool to meet him. He was one of many people I got to meet out there at Creative Inc. Creative Inc. is a writing conference / festival. I had a blast. I should really mention before we really get into the interview here, I owe Sandra Rickam a huge thanks. I'm going to say it here. I'm known as a podcaster more than I am as a writer, and I'm actually very okay with that, but there is something to be said when a 15-year-old girl comes up to you and talks about how much you really enjoyed The Watcher and Storm Dancer and how poignant it was, and that is an experience I will never ever forget. More than anything else, that was very validating, and I honestly think the role I'm on kind of right now is a big result of me going to that conference. So I will definitely be there, Creative Inc. 2019. I encourage you, if you're a writer, definitely, if you're in that area, you should definitely go. If you're a reader and you want to meet some really, really cool writers, you should definitely go too. All right, let's get to my conversation with John. So I'm just letting you know, I've returned the recorder on, so anything incriminating you'd like to say, make it good.
Fantastic, understood and noted.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if we're going to go do really good crimes, we might as well go with the really big ones.
Let's go bigger.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. At least above clubbing baby seals. At least above that.
That's as bad as you can go?
No. At least above that.
Above that.
That's
okay,
the standard.
So are we in the puppy territory now?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. If it's good. It has to be creative, because if it's not creative, then it's not fun.
Clubbing puppies is just stepping off that. So no,
No. So we've already taken this conversation to the toilet. I love it. How you doing today, man?
I'm okay.
Yeah. So to sell a lot of books, make zillions and zillions of dollars.
Okay, no one else can see this. My fingers are crossed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. No, you come from an interesting place, because when we were talking, I met John literally today at the merchant's booth, and I was having him. He has a book called Rage, and that book, like, rage is this very, very, very big word.
It's little.
It's a tiny word with with a lot of variables and meaning. Like, there's road rage, then there's just like Postleman rage, and then there's anger rage. But I thought, like, what you actually were writing about, like you told me about, was really interesting. That you were writing from a personal place of anger. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I do. I got a quick question for you, procedure-wise.
Yeah.
How are we for language ratings here?
As long as we don't cross into racial territory, we're good.
Okay, because I have a potty mouth. So
that's another be as potty as you want. Just as long as again we don't cross the racial line, we're good.
Fantastic. We can definitely deal with that. So where did these stories come from? Oh my God, really good question. As we were talking before, I mentioned, when I was writing the stories, putting the collection together, I was shocked to find out that they were all about rage. I had no clue when I was putting them together. The collection, it's literary fiction at its core, but the stories, in my mind, are varied. Like, yes, they all are tied around this fictional town in Ontario, which is sort of my hometown, but a step to the left.
So I'm curious. I'm in Ontario by myself. Where?
Well, the place is called Chatham.
Okay, I know Chatham.
Yeah, it's halfway between London and Windsor.
Yeah. Windsor, I'm London boy right here.
There we go.
Yeah, so I know the area.
I know it well, and I'm sorry.
Yes. I like Windsor.
I like London.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a lot about Chatham I do like.
Yeah.
There's a lot I don't like, but there's a lot I do like. So these stories, even though they're loosely interwoven, it's like the same people are going through all the different stories. And the earliest story is set in World War II in 1944. The latest story is set in present day. And I thought they were different because some of the stories deal with, soldiers in World War II, others about young kids during the Korean War, living out in rural Ontario, close to Chatham. Others, people in within their kitchens, within their homes. Other people are in high school. There's one about a priest in there. There's one about a mountain climber. There's a couple stories about archaeologists in there as well too. So I didn't realize there was a connection with everything. And then looking at these stories, putting it together, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
They are all about rage. And one of the stories is called Rage, is what finally made it click in my own head. I'm not very bright that way, but once it was laid out for me, it's like, okay, yeah, of course.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally makes total sense. So, okay, so I'm gonna ask to dig deep into your psyche.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where does since you're writing from stories about anger, where does your anger come from?
At its core, and if you read the book, God, this is obvious. Like I can't hide this. It's how I was raised.
Really?
And it's a lot of it. If you read the stories, you'll see there's a lot of anger directed towards mother figures. There's a lot of rage directed toward father figures, and it was interesting when I made some connections about going on. Like, case in point, my mother had Alzheimer's.
Okay.
Yeah, my mother died in 2012. And
my condolences.
it's shitty, mate. You never go through that.
Yeah, I sincerely don't want to.
No, you don't. Absolutely, it was awful. But there were some interesting things that happened during that. And the first was, when I was growing up, my mother, to me, was a very, very intelligent woman. I always thought she was very straight-laced. I thought she was a little naive. Like, I was completely convinced. I'm 12, 13 years old. I thought I completely successfully explained away a hickey that I fell off a chair and landed on the toilet. I nailed that explanation. She bought it. Yeah, right. But again, no one else can see my fingers crossed. But
I can see that conversation.
Yeah. Similarly, when I'm 15, 16, little dab of toothpaste on the teeth. No, I wasn't smoking. And I thought I'd gotten away with this. I thought I'd bought this. When Alzheimer's came, it stripped so much away from her, and she hid it well. She was very, very good at hiding this and how she presented herself to the world, which is part of what gets into the story. But as the Alzheimer's took her words away, took her nouns away, the profanity filters came off. And then I realized, not only does she know all these words, she knows how to use them absolutely perfectly. And so I'm starting to get a sense of, my mother is not who I thought she was. And that blew me away. Now keep that in mind. And it didn't really super hit home. Like, keeping that in. It's a gradual thing, and like there's other awful.
No.
Going on. When I found out she died, and when I spoke to my father right after that, the second thing out of his mouth after, "Hey John," he told me I had a sister. I had no clue whatsoever, and obviously it was something that he was told, and he made a vow to my mother, never ever say this out loud. But as soon as she was dead, he was released from his vow. Now this sister that I have is not my father's child, and they had been married about 3 or 4 years when the kid comes. I still don't know the details of how that happened. I've looked for it. I've gone looking on through adoption records. I put my name in to find adoptee kids and things like that. I can't find anything there. And so what it did is it took my entire world, my entire worldview, and shattered it.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. So hence rage.
No, I got it. On my personal side, so my family's from Windsor, and so my mom was getting these weird dreams. This was during the Born Again movement in the 80s. She was getting these weird dreams about her parents, and so at the time there was these two prophets in the city, and she went and interpreted her dream, and they told her what it was. She didn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
It was confirmed, and she still, to this day, does not believe it. It shattered her worldview. I think one of the hardest things as kids, I idolize my dad. Still, on some level, I do. But I'm also at the point now, too, I see his flaws, all his flaws. And I love him. He's my father. He raised me. He was a great, and he still is. He'd be a great parent even to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But for all his flaws, like when you're a kid, you have this idea of what your parents are supposed to be.
Yep.
And when you get older, you realize, no, they're just like you. They're human beings having some of the same problems that you were struggling with.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah. It takes such a... But that's a big, that's a world-shattering thing, because that rock that you, my parents will help me and no, they're as clueless as you are, maybe even more so. Yep. And And that's frightening. Like, wait, you don't know what to do about this? We've been struggling with this for years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, shit. I mean, in one way, it's great because it humanizes them in a way that I think all parents at some point do need to be humanized by their kids.
I think all children need to recognize that about the parents at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's part of the maturing process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, but I mean, everybody's got their secrets too. Like there are things that, and there are things we've all done that. And I think where parents get scared is because it's also the fact that if there's anyone in this life that has a right to judge you, it's your kids. Because they raised you, right? And you became what, in a lot of ways, not completely, but in a lot of ways, you became what they made you to be.
They did, but it's so hard to make that realization because you got the mixture of betrayal and it's all wrapped up together. And this is not easy stuff.
Oh no, God no.
But I agree, but it's also there's so much to unpack around that.
Yeah, no, it's not. Oh God, no. I make this sound. I say this in other episodes of my podcast.
Yeah.
Simple and easy are not the same things at all.
I agree with you.
Yeah, right. Simple. You recognize intellectually, you recognize. Yeah, you're right. But there's a big but there.
Yep.
Right? When that simplicity is one of the hardest things in the world to do. And that sounds like a big, giant irony when people but it's so hard because it's usually the right thing. But fuck, why is it so hard, right? Why does it always require you to make a really tough choice to maintain it? Yet the flip side is if you go down what I call an easier path to denying reality, not changing what you need to change, it gets even harder eventually. Maybe not right away, but it gets harder. So sometimes it's like, well, life just kicks you in the nuts.
Repeatedly?
Yeah.
That wasn't in the fine print, but
yeah.
Yeah, something I came across a little while ago about life and people, especially in Western society, being told we're aiming for happiness. We're looking to be happy in our lives, and what this idea that I came across is that's not what you should be shooting for, because once you reach happiness, well, it can't stay forever, so it's going to fade, and because it's not a state you can stay in. What you should be looking for are the challenges that you can handle and challenges that you can conquer and deal with.
Yeah.
I'm not explaining this in a well thing, but the idea is as opposed to picking to be happy, it's picking the challenges that you've got.
Yeah.
Because you will get satisfaction out of solving these challenges.
Well, it's about building yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
and to recognize that they're going to happen. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, shit's always going to happen.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm actually swearing more than you are so far. but no. I mean, look, life is like at its quote unquote easiest. It's still not easy, and happiness. I mean, those moments of like that joy is such a rare thing in this life. You rarely get it, and when you get it, it's never for very long. But it's also one of the reasons why I feel it's actually worth it. When you have those moments, those are the moments you really remember.
Oh my God, and you've got to, for me sometimes I've got to force myself to stop and think, no, you're really happy right now. Stop and enjoy it. Recognize this. Revel in it for now.
Yeah.
Not even the fact that it might be gone in 15 minutes, it doesn't matter, just really experience.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
And that's okay.
Yeah, I think it's not happiness. We're this is going to sound really zen-y, but what we're looking for is two things: acceptance, not of necessarily other people, although definitely our peers, for whoever we consider our peers, but also of ourselves. Because the other thing too is when you see, So recently I fixed my teeth. That came as a result of a lot of personal trials a long time ago. When I made the decision to finally fix my teeth, those trials came back to the surface. I was surprised me. I didn't like intellectually. I was like, okay, I'm ready to do this. No, emotionally, holy shit, no, I wasn't right at that. Like Sunday, shortly thereafter. But the one thing about going through these really, really tough points in your life, these dark passages, right? You can't hide in the darkness. You just can't. Right? No matter you want to try to run, no, it comes with you. And basically, at that moment in time, you have to choose who you want to be. So I think the goal is acceptance and peace of who you are, your flaws, good, bad, and different, right? Everything about you, and finding that is what everybody should be actually trying to go for.
If we're going for personal acceptance, I buy it.
Yeah.
I think acceptance with a peer group, I don't quite. I don't quite see the importance of that. Like, yes, at our core, humans we're designed to look for acceptance with other people, but I think be true to yourself and recognize who you really are, even if it's counter to what everyone else around you is doing. You'll do a better service for yourself if you can do that, even if you are different, than towing the line and being like everyone else and being miserable.
Oh, no, I agree with you. I think I didn't explain that correctly. What I mean by that
I could have understood.
No. I think this one's on me. And that's this. Okay, you wrote an awesome collection.
Thank you.
Right. And then and the fact that I can say this as a peer, although I'm not going to pretend I'm anywhere on your level. I don't know if I am or I am not, because at this moment in time, because who can really measure that, right?
Well, I'm going to say we're same level. People.
Yeah. No, so I'm talking about in terms of like accomplishments and writing. I don't know your full scale, what you've accomplished.
Remember zillions.
Yeah, zillions. Yeah, absolutely. But the idea that a peer can go to you, you did good work. That feels good.
Yes.
Right, that feels really good. It's not because at that moment it's not. Yeah, don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, whether or not that a peer goes to you and says that or not, that's in the grand scheme of things, that is irrelevant. However, when someone comes to you, it's like you did really good work, and it's someone like you that is going through their own struggles and their own toils, and they did kind of, again, a different result with their own work because it's of them and not you. It's still, that takes a lot of guts to even get to that point, right? So when someone says you did good, that's doing the same thing or something similar to it, that's also a pretty good feeling. So it's not.
I'm not gonna. I love getting hit.
Yeah. No. I mean that's part. I mean, look, writers, if we're really honest with ourselves, we want to be read, and there's no crime in that, right?
Some people. Well, I do teach creative writing too.
Yeah.
And I've noticed people. Two different ways they're going about it. The one people that are the journal writers, the ones that are trying to capture the story of their own lives, and it's for themselves or their immediate family. I think those are in the minority. I think most people that write, I think you're dead on it. They want people to read their material. They want people to read their stories. They want to be heard that way. So while I recognize there is a small group that aren't looking for that, I think the majority of writers would like to hear that.
I'm going to challenge you on that.
Okay.
Here's my challenge. It's who the audience is for the first group. It is not the general public. It is themselves. Not themselves now, but themselves 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Okay, I'm with you.
Right? Because, and this is the thing, I'm 36. Yeah, I am 36. Holy shit. But
math is not fun sometimes.
No, it's actually it's okay. It's just you just forget in some moments every once in a while. Like, hey, I'm not spring chicken quite anymore, but that's okay. At 26, I was a very different person.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Yeah, I was a totally different person. And same with you. Like you're like 10 years ago, you were a very different person.
Yes, I was.
So the person journaling the audience is not a general one, but maybe themselves or their family years from now, so they can remember that person, who they were. It's not who they are anymore, but who they were.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, there's an audience. It's just a different. Yeah, it's just the goal's different, and then and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. If you are a career journaler, ladies and gentlemen, there is totally no shame in that. If that's your writing aspirations, power to you.
Yeah, I think where I see the difference as an instructor is how I'm going to help this person do that.
Absolutely.
Their goals will be different. If you're writing with the intention of publication, I'm going to teach you grammar. I'm going to teach you mechanics and how to actually format this stuff. If you're writing just for yourself and you're content with the journal, you're not putting out, spelling doesn't matter.
No, who cares?
Diction doesn't matter. How you put these words together, it's just getting the ideas on paper. But if you're going... And why I say this is for the writers that are trying for publication, and this is like way down the track. This is like way after ideas, and your whole story is done. It's how you present your material to an editor or a publisher. That's where it matters.
Yeah.
Because the ideas, at the end of the day, their goal, the editor's goal, is the same goal as yours. You want to sell your work, they want to buy your work. And the idea for getting all the formatting in the diction and all the spelling everything down perfectly is to make it as easy as possible for them to look at your work and say yes.
Yes. That's absolutely the truth.
Whereas a journal writer, that doesn't matter one little tiny bit.
No. What matters with the journal writer, the only thing you would do with a journal writer is just the idea you want to present.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the only question you ask a journal writer is this what you mean?
And how they can capture that in a way that will satisfy them.
Yeah, exactly.
And encourage them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's totally a different thing. So, so you teach creative writing what level?
I have taught. Usually, I'm teaching continuing ed, so I'm usually teaching adults. Mm-hmm. I have taught in high schools, and I have taught at the university level too.
Yeah.
So I've done a full range. My youngest student, I think, has been 12. My oldest has been 83.
Nice.
It's been a wonderful, wide scope of people teaching.
It must be very rewarding, actually.
It is fantastic, and one of the really cool things about it is because I get exposed to so many different ideas that I normally would never come across. Like I'm a pretty eclectic reader as it is. Like I will read literary fiction. I will read mysteries. I love fantasy. I love science fiction. I read the occasional poetry. I read play scripts, and so I'm pretty open to most genres anyway. But I'm getting exposed to ideas that I normally would never come across in my daily life. Mm-hmm. It's like wow, and then getting to meet these people too. On top of that,
well, that's why I do the podcast.
Yeah, it's like fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's flattering, and also somewhere down the road. So this is what I did actually when I got published the first time. I found as many of my high school teachers as I could, my English teachers and a couple other teachers that made major impact, and I gave them a copy of a book as a
right on.
Yeah, right. You know, well, because I honestly I do believe that teachers are probably, let me phrase this, good teachers. Mm-hmm. And I know good's a very relative term, but the ones that actually pay attention to their students and the ones that are there to help them mm-hmm. is one of the most under-rewarded jobs on the planet. Because it's not even so much the subject matter you're teaching, although hopefully it's something, but you're teaching them to think and you're encouraging them to go for things.
Hopefully you are.
Yeah.
And well, it's part of my philosophy on teaching too. But one of the interesting things that it was taught to me, because when I went back to school in my I'm doing math.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I was in my late 30s or 40s. Anyway, whatever. A little while ago, and I went back to do my master's, and one of the things we were focusing on was teaching creative writing.
Yeah.
We had some of the different profs come in, just give us a talk about ideas behind it. And there's this one man. I want to mention his name.
Go ahead.
What he said. His name's Keith Millard. And Keith was the chair of the UBC writing program for a long, long time. And he's written many, many, many books. And I do respect his writing. But the thing that he told us about this, these are the students that are there to learn how to teach creative writing. He says, you've got an awful lot of power in your hands. You have the power to make any one of your students stop writing forever. If you say the wrong thing, you can kill their desire to write. And I'm going, oh my God, you're right. And so my philosophy is never, ever to do that to someone, is to be as supportive as possible. Because I've seen workshops where people end up being in tears.
Yeah.
I have been that person. I have seen horrible things people have seen. I've seen people give up. So I believe him when he says that.
No, absolutely, and it's not just writing; it's any art. Because it takes a lot of courage to put anything on the page. It doesn't matter what it is, and I actually had this conversation with someone I was trying to get into writing. Mm-hmm. It's not that we're afraid it's bad. It's actually we are putting, and when we put our most effort into whatever we're doing, it's not our bad stuff we're getting out, it's our best stuff. Mm-hmm. It's the stuff that makes us us. It's why, like, I cannot do a stick figure drawing a 5-year-old can. I just can't do it. And the reason I can't do it is I cannot put into it what a 5-year-old can. Mm-hmm. As much as I may be technically more right, I can't do it. Mm-hmm. Nor can you, right? Mm-hmm. That's just it. Because they're putting something on the page that just cannot be transferred. It just can't be done. And so anyone that puts any kind of art out there and it's their absolute best stuff, well, it's their absolute best. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is. It doesn't matter what's being written on the page, what's being drawn. That's the best, and that's the stuff people fear getting rejected the most. That's why rejection hurts so hard.
Oh, absolutely. And it is so hard for new writers to share their work for the first time. To have other people read it, it is a giant thing. It's a giant ass thing for people to do, and I really hope that other creative writing teachers know that.
Yeah.
Like, and never ever forget that how hard it is your first time and your first couple times, and the first time you get up in front of a crowd of people and you read your own stuff. For some people, it's utterly terrifying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and again, it's that fear to get published. The thing is, and this is the toughest part of it. You're going to get told no an awful lot of times, and the reason it hurts so hard is because it literally is the best you.
Yeah.
Right? That's why it's so hard. On the flip side, but also keep in mind to anyone listening to this, it's not necessarily because they're rejecting the work or you. Maybe that work just doesn't fit with what they're doing. Maybe, right? There's a lot of reasons why sometimes.
There are a lot of reasons, but
Yeah.
that writer who's just got the rejection, it's so hard to remember that.
Yeah.
Because yes, the reason why your story wasn't accepted because they might have published 3 others in that same issue on the exact same topic. That could be the only reason.
Yeah.
Maybe they saw the other stories before they saw yours, and so hence they thought of the other ones. That could be it. It also could be your writing's not ready for publication.
Yeah.
But there are a huge range of reasons why. But you being the person rejected, God, it's so hard to keep that in mind.
No, I know it hurts.
Oh.
It hurts. But then, as a writer, you gotta get up and go again. In one sense, actually, it doesn't matter what it is. You got to be tough, because you're gonna get told no a lot. You're gonna get told you can't or you won't or in that. But it's not about that. It's about whether or not you can keep going.
Yeah. Well, that's one other thing that I tell my students is the only person that should have the power to make them stop, to make them quit writing, is them themselves. In that case, I encourage them, don't ever do that. But don't let someone else stop you. Don't let a teacher tell you something that makes you stop writing. Don't let an editor tell you to stop doing something that will make you stop writing. Like even if we're talking about, I'm going to drop a name, Deborah Treason, the fiction editor of the New Yorker magazine. If she tells you your stuff is shit, don't listen to her.
Yeah.
Keep writing. Don't ever quit for that. If you might want to, because she is the fiction editor of the New Yorker magazine, she might have some valid points. Take a look at what she said. See if you agree with what's there. End of the day, you own that story. You can decide how it's told. She might have something that would work. She might not, but you get to decide.
Harlan Ellison, George R. R. Martin has a great story about how Harlan Ellison actually deconstructed his work of fiction. He goes, it was one of the most painful experiences in my life because not only did I have to rip, literally I was ripping paper in rage, but also he was right, and but also keep in mind too when people are deconstructing your work, not that you are shit because that's always bullshit, but if say the work is shit, it might be compared to what you're going against, and if there's a valid reason for that. You have to take it, right?
Well, I think if you want to be the writer,
I
honestly believe you've got to constantly be striving to get better and constantly striving to learn. It's not always easy, but I think it's important if you really buy into this writing stuff, you got to always try to get better and be open to other people's suggestions. They might be wrong, they might be right. Even the person, say if you're in a writing group and this is one person that's been ragging on you all year or all semester or whatever. It always is a good idea to listen anyway. They might have that one line of gold that completely saves what you got. It turns your work into something utterly fantastic. Even though it's going to be painful, you just want to say, I've got 10 fingers, I only need one right now. Flipping them off.
Yeah.
But they might have it.
No, they might. There's definitely some critiques I've gotten in the past where I just look at them and it's like, this is not relevant to the story at all.
Yeah,
right. And that's
definitely there too.
Yeah, and that sometimes you have to bite your tongue, sometimes you don't, and because sometimes slamming a critic is a lot of fun. Sometimes, but that's I digress a little bit.
Isn't there a general rule never in print?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Alcohol helps with that. I find. Actually, I've got a set process after rejection. I'm usually hurt, and I get mad.
Oh yeah, no, you hurt, you get mad.
Yeah, and then I could go see, is there anything in what they said that is applicable? Do I honestly? Usually, it takes a little while to get to that stage where I'm no longer angry with them.
Yeah. And then once you're there, you're like, okay, you're right. Nope, you're full of shit, and then you move on.
And there are cases where they are full of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And that recognizing that that takes time too, because there are levels to it. So I'm going to ask you a question. I asked Susan of Pulp Literature earlier.
Okay.
Perfection or progression?
That is a good question. I see progression as a good ideal. I see perfection as a curse that I'm stuck with.
I'm gonna see if I can challenge your thing. Perfection is hell and should never be strived for.
Okay.
Progression should always be the goal. We live in an age now where we can always get works redone, and if it's glaring, there's one particular instance I recall, not me, that someone had a cover of instead of literary magazine, like maybe you should correct that. But sometimes like there's also Terry Pratchett wrote a book called The Carpet People once, and he said the hardest challenge with The Carpet People was not revising the work. It was 14-year-old Terry Pratchett, because 14-year-old Terry Pratchett wrote that book. And this goes back to what I said earlier about the stick figure drama of the 5-year-old. He goes, I cannot be as bold as 14-year-old Terry Pratchett because I can't do it. Am I technically better? Sure, but it doesn't matter, right? I can so there is a fine line when the spirit of whatever it is you're trying to say can no longer be touched by you. I actually believe that there's a point with every story where you have to let it go. Even if you could revise it to a zillionth ends, there comes a point where you actually will destroy the work, the spirit of that work, if you go there. Now, there is always that ideal, and there always can be better, and we always should strive to be better. But perfect? No.
That's why I call it a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I see on the page, I want to get the right word, I want to get the right turn of phrase, and there's sometimes when I'm recognizing, stop, go on, move on, drop it. And yeah, there's a time when it's enough.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle that I have.
It's a struggle every creator.
I would suspect so.
Yeah. It's just that's pretty much it. I think, Mr. John, we have a good interview here. So So why don't we end it on this note? How can people find you, and what's your current book about?
Okay, finding me is not that hard. I've got a website. It's www. This is the part to write down. johnmavin.com. Okay. The book is called Rage. It's a collection of short stories, and it is about. Okay, it's a dark book. I'll warn you about that. It does not go into happy places. Some of them are positive. Some of the stories aren't. But what it does is it explores the feeling of rage. These people that have lived lives based on lies, based on abuse, and what they do with that situation. In some cases, they get angry. Okay, in all cases they get angry. In some cases they look for revenge. Other cases they look for salvation. Other cases they're looking for something else. But that's what all these stories, what ties them together. Aside from the geographical location.
Yes.
It's how they're dealing with a situation that is not cool to begin with. And there's some pretty, very adult stuff in there as well too. And yeah.
It takes a lot of guts to tackle some of that stuff because that's all uncomfortable things.
It was uncomfortable. And some of the story I'm thinking about is a title story called Rage, and there's. I can't give away too much about it because there's a lot of surprises in that story. But that story went in a direction I had no plan on where it was going, and then as I realized where it was going, it freaked me out. But a lot of my fiction comes from things that anger me. So that's where this story came from.
Fair enough.
And if you look on my website, again, www.johnmavin.com, there is a links to, I have little story explanations for each of the stories that are in the book.
Yeah.
So you can see where all these stories did come from.
Oh, all right, very cool. One last thing, social media. Do you have any social media?
I do. I'm on Facebook too, and I'm on Goodreads. They're both accessible from my website.
All right, excellent. And that was my conversation with John Mavin. Check out his book Rage, available now wherever you can order books. Chapters, Indigo, Kobo, Amazon, you name it, it's there. John, you're welcome anytime to come back on the show. You were great. I'm definitely looking forward to reading your stuff. I'm sorry I couldn't get it that weekend, but I only had so much money. I always feel a little guilty because for me, I get this opportunity all the time to just interview great people, and I know how hard it is to put work out there, and we talk about that. You put your very best stuff out when you release something all the time, and as a result, it's sad when you can't take it all, but on the flip side, it's something for me to look forward to next year. And that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. Now, normally I do my normal plugs, but this is kind of the last chance I get to do this, so I'm going to. So, hear me out here for the last time. Sweet and Sultry Summer, the Romantic Writing Festival taking place in Calgary, is this Sunday at Eau Claire Mall, Eau Claire Mall, Calgary, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. I will be doing a live podcast. I've already mentioned quite a few of the people I'm interviewing. I'm going to interview a couple more here, talk about a couple more, last couple here. Sasha White, which is, I'm looking forward to it because she's a writer and a traveler and a wanderer, and I feel like this will take after my own heart. She sounds a little dirtier than I am, but that's okay, maybe, but that's part of the fun. Like, for me, this is going to be a lot of fun to do that. And then my last guest is the woman who planned all this, is M. Jane Collette. And I'm a big fan of her writing. Just even reading her blogs and stuff, she's a very deep writer, very, very passionate. She's been on the show before. Passionate, serious, fun. I really enjoy her way of looking at things, and I'm looking forward to seeing how she is at the end of the event. So Sasha White, M. Jane Collette, plus everybody else. I'm going to be interviewing quite a few people. Alyssa Palmer, Rayan Haynes, Mel V, Daniel French, Wynn Day, Kate O'Connor, Keely Kamikaze. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a cool experience, and I'm inviting each and every one of you to come check it out. Sultry Summer, Eau Claire Mall, Calgary, this Sunday, June 24th, 12 p.m. Don't miss it. And that will do it for Just Joshing. Stay inspired out there. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, or don't get caught. Whatever you subscribe to. All right? All right.
Josh.